What's happening, guys and girls? Acrinator here, and welcome to the year-end vlog for 2017. For the surprising majority of you that are new to the channel over the course of the past year, this is an annual tradition where I take a look back at where the channel was at this point last year, how far we've come over the past 365 days, where we are right now, and where I expect things to go within the next year or so. So with that being said, let's dive straight into it. If you can believe it, on December 31st, 2016, the channel was sitting at 59 subscribers. Of course, I know what happened to bring it far enough to more than triple that subscriber count, but I'll be addressing that whole mess in a few minutes. For the most part, the series that I put out have remained the same. By the end of last year, I had begun experimenting with the audio editing techniques that I now use, as well as getting more comfortable with the formats for Paradoxical Ramblings and Unanswered. The major differences between now and then, besides the quality of content, would be that the Let's Plays were still being pre-recorded and there was one less series. If you go back and watch last year's vlog, you'll notice how I talked about wanting to start a show where I could talk about anything that was inspiring me, much like Paradoxical Ramblings, but for topics besides gaming. I wasn't entirely sure about the format of said series at the time, but I was pretty set on branching out beyond gaming. This should probably sound familiar to most of you, because this concept eventually turned into Random Thoughts a few weeks into January. The format of the series changed over the course of 2017, and the topics have ranged from everything from shows that I like, to personal stories, to YouTube-centric discussions. Originally, I was going for a style that would require as little editing as possible, because I wanted something to potentially replace the Let's Plays in the future. The first two episodes of Random Thoughts were just simple pictures over top me talking. It took minimal effort to make these, but I still wanted to dumb down the process a bit. My goal at the time was to make it so that I could conceptualize and create videos like these in a single day if I so desired. That led to the next few episodes of the series, which were literally just me talking over whatever picture I chose as the thumbnail. Looking back, I definitely would have liked to put more effort into the visuals, but I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that series, so this was my way of experimenting. Eventually, I decided to work in more live footage of myself, with miscellaneous videos or pictures interspersed to match whatever it is I would say. Personally, I like this style a lot because it's somewhat of a challenge. I'm so used to talking over video game footage that I never really took the time to experiment with real life footage. I think 2018 will be big for experimenting even more with Random Thoughts to figure out where I want that series to go. Going back to the second major point about what I was feeling when starting off 2017, I really wasn't happy with how the Let's Plays were going. If you go far back into my channel's history, to January 2014 to about mid-2016, you'll find that I used to focus a lot more on just playing games rather than discussing them. It took me a long time to gradually shift the focus of my channel to where I wanted it, and by the end of 2016, I was perfectly okay with the idea of stopping the Let's Plays altogether. I figured I'd make my decision on the matter after finishing up all the Let's Plays that I'd already started. The 2017 Let's Play started off with me finishing the Tomb Raider 2013 reboot and moving on to Borderlands 2 with John. At that point, I'd pre-record multiple episodes back to back and hold on to them until it was time to upload. I put the absolute minimal amount of effort into these videos because I wanted to make it very clear that these were not the focus of my channel to anyone watching. They were more to serve the purpose of creating the context for my points that would later come in the formal review. About halfway through the year, at the beginning of summer, I started to release what remained of the Borderlands Let's Play in large, multi-hour chunks in order to get that series out of the way. After that was done, I began experimenting with YouTube's live streaming platform in order to see if I could still play games on my channel. I figured that I'd either enjoy live streaming every now and then, or just stick to the discussion in the future. I think it's pretty obvious what my decision was. I'm sure some of you watching now are wondering why I just didn't stream on Twitch instead. Believe it or not, I actually do have a Twitch, and I have for a couple of years. I just never use it. It's called Acrinator_games, and if you bother to look it up, it'll just pop up with a message saying that it's inactive and that I live stream on YouTube instead. The main thing for me is that I don't watch others live stream. If anything, I'll watch live stream highlights on YouTube. Plus, there's the fact that I don't want to be a live streamer per se, but I wouldn't mind being a content creator that also live streams. As long as I enjoy doing it, I don't have to put that much energy into it, and I can just keep the stream VODs unlisted on my channel. I'm fine with doing the weekly live streams like I have been. And everything is kept together neatly thanks to how YouTube's system works, so for what I need and want out of a live streaming platform, YouTube is much better than Twitch. So that's how my year went in terms of the behind-the-scenes decisions that have led us thus far. But there's also the matter of the major events that even I couldn't have predicted. During the first half of the year, the channel unfortunately became slightly inactive while I had to focus on my last semester of college, though I've had a lot more spare time for the channel after I graduated back in May. That's really where the channel came back in full force. For the majority of the summer, we were slowly gaining a healthy few subscribers a month and trucking along towards the ultimate goal of 100. Every now and then there'd be a small spike from a live stream that would yield a couple more than usual, but nothing out of the ordinary happened until early September. I'm sure a lot of you watching right now are familiar with what I'm about to say. The unanswered episode I made about Diablo 3's Leah blew the hell up, amassing approximately approximately 15,000 views over the course of 14 hours or so. The weird thing is that these views were happening around September 10th, but I uploaded the video back in February. I have no clue what the hell happened with YouTube's recommendation algorithm, but it suddenly favored that video for some odd reason. From that whole uptick in traffic came about 35 subscribers over the course of a few days, which is something I'd never seen before. That video still holds the record on my channel for the most views on a single video, as well as the most views I've ever gotten in a single day. I think one of the coolest things that came out of that episode's success, besides finally breaking 100 subs, was how many of you actively participated in the comments. There were dozens of comments furthering the discussion, which is really what I strive for with most of my content. Of course, I'd experienced the random success of the Path of Exile review back in early 2016, but this unanswered success was over 10 times that amount. I don't know if I'll ever have a video that even comes close to that level of success again, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. From there, things began to normalize a bit, albeit with a bit more traffic coming in on average, and it wasn't until late October that the channel saw its next crazy burst in traffic. I'm sure quite a few of you watching this now are also aware of this. Late on October 27th, my phone started to beep every couple minutes with notifications about new subscribers. I quickly pulled up my real-time analytics to see if anything else was randomly blowing up, but no videos were being watched enough to seem to warrant the random influx. The one thing I had to go off of is that a lot of older episodes of Dungeon Overview were being watched a bit more than usual, but I couldn't figure out much else. At the time, I was watching the tribute concert for Linkin Park's Chester Bennington on YouTube, so I didn't want to divert my attention too much. Linkin Park is the band that got me into music and has remained my favorite act since, so this was relatively important. I'd considered the possibility that someone had posted one of my videos on Reddit or spread the word somehow, but there was no way to tell at the moment, so I resigned to accepting the new subscribers and waiting to ask later on. Within the next day or two, I got my answer. That Dungeon Overview was given a shout out by Soul So Breezy, a WoW-focused YouTuber who's much larger than myself. A little into November, I actually figured out that it was the user That Scarlet Crusade guy that had been the one to suggest my channel to Soul, eventually leading to the shout out. It's a little hard to describe how I feel about that whole situation, but it's needless to say that I owe a huge thank you to Soul and Scarlet Crusade guy in particular. Of all the things that have happened to me on this channel that I couldn't comprehend, this one blew me away more than anything else. If you told me 4 years ago that not only would people genuinely enjoy the videos that I make, but that it would lead to me getting a shout out by someone else, I'd call you crazy. Of course, I like the stuff that I put out, but I never imagined that others would, at least to this extent. And I think that's what really makes a YouTube channel so special. Of course, I have to make the content for you all to watch, but it's the viewers that go above and beyond to be active in the comments and spread the word about the channel that turns it from entertainment into a community. Well, now it's been about 2 months since the last spike of insanity, and we've continued to welcome new subscribers to the channel every so often. Right now we're sitting at about 170 or so, and I can imagine that number will slowly grow over time. Of course, the ultimate goal for the channel, which was 100 subscribers, has been met, and then some, and I have no intention of raising that goal any higher. From the time I started my channel in its current iteration, I wanted to shoot for 100 because I saw it as something that I'd have to work for while still being reasonable enough to obtain. There's no guarantee that I'll ever hit 1,000, let alone 1 million, so I don't see the point in some crazy dream of gaining a play button or something like that. If it happens, it happens, and if it won't, it won't. The one thing I've learned watching YouTube since its inception is that internet fame is more fickle than winning the lottery, and that's the biggest reason why I don't want to do this as a career. There's just not enough stability. That being said, I'm certainly not going anywhere because this is the best hobby I've ever had. I've learned so much about so many different aspects of making and presenting a video to the world, and I think that knowledge can be invaluable depending on how you use it. Of course, there have been other minor changes to the quality and format of my channel throughout 2017, but I think these are the ones that are significant enough to mention here. As for the future, my immediate goals would be to hone in on my presentation skills when it comes to random thoughts, work on how my formal game reviews are organized, and figure out what the hell I want to do with Overwatch how-to. I already discussed random thoughts earlier, and the main thing I want to improve upon for the formal reviews would be the order in which I present everything. It's not going to be as static as some other review outlets out there, but I have my ideas that I'll be testing out with the Bastion review coming out sometime in January. From there, I'll take what I learn and apply it to to the Transistor review I have slated for February. As for Overwatch How To, I don't know. I have some ideas, but I think I'm going to change the format slightly yet again. I'm definitely happy with the Reaper video I put out a few months ago, so I'm going to keep that public instead of unlisted, but I don't necessarily want to cover just heroes. I think what I'll try to focus on is any aspect of the game and give a passive-aggressive rant on how not to screw it up. This is mostly because I see a lot of guides that show you what to do in certain situations, but not a lot of videos telling you what not to do. Some of this has to do with specific heroes, but others don't have enough content to fill an entire video, so I'll have to figure out what format the series is going to take on in the near future. Other than that, I'm still not quite sure what I'll be doing on that front. In terms of new series, I really don't have much. The thing with the ones that I have now is that they cover just about anything and everything I'd want to talk about, so I don't have any ideas that wouldn't already fit into one of those. Though I will say that I have some new theories for Unanswered that have the possibility to spark a fair amount of discussion depending on how much traction they get, but that's all I really have for now. I want to thank all of you for putting up with me, regardless of whether you've only found the channel recently or if you've been watching since the Quakecraft days. I look forward to the future of the channel and improving upon whatever the hell it is I do. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. The channel hasn't grown so large that I can't read every single comment, and even if I don't respond, I've likely read it. Anyways, that's all the time I've got for now, so until next year, don't die.